How do you see this moving forward? Are we going to see a path of negotiation here or a path of escalation?
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. Right now, it seems that the issue is a difference in expectations between both sides. The Russians have made quite clear that they expect this set of talks this week to result in a major agreement on a new security paradigm for the region and an understanding that the West and Russia can both work on going forward. However, the West and the United States in particular is certainly, I think, not ready to reach that understanding on the demands that Moscow has outlined. The crisis in Kazakhstan shows the differences in interpretation between providing security and stability and between demonstrating Russian influence. So I think that we're potentially going to get some new language in joint statements. I think the United States and NATO have both shown they're willing to agree to that. But if Russia's expectations are for significantly more, then tensions will continue to remain quite high and the threat of conflict in Ukraine will be acute.
Okay, so the threat of conflict still there, Max. And it's also interesting to point out that it is unlikely that President Putin will have any plans to withdraw troops and de-escalate tensions unless he receives some kind of concession from the United States. Where do you see grounds to move forward here and any potential pushback from the US side?
I think the U.S. has already made quite clear that it's pushing back that Russia cannot have a veto over Ukraine's sovereignty and foreign policy decision making. The current Ukrainian government, as with the previous Ukrainian government, have pursued NATO membership, but the popularity of that move domestically has really gained quite significantly since Russia's invasion in 2014, including in areas of eastern Ukraine that were previously seen as somewhat more susceptible to pro-Russian sentiment or to moving towards a closer relationship with Russia. It is very difficult for Russia to accept this because it is effectively an acknowledgement that its strategy in Ukraine post-2014 has failed. And I think the issue for the West is that the West understands Russia needs to keep a certain level of threat to keep the Ukrainian government and the effects of its 2014 revolution from being seen as successful. So even if there is a new understanding reached, that does not mean that one should expect the withdrawal of Russian support and Russian troops occasionally from the separatist territories in eastern Ukraine. And certainly Russia has made it clear that there is no room for discussion on Crimea.